If there's one thing that gets on my nerves about video games, it's games being longer than they need to be, because it causes developers to work needlessly harder and it leaves me waiting longer for a project that overstays its welcome and suffers because of the extra time put into it. But where insert any modern JRPG here makes me begging for the sweet release of end credits, Red Dead Redemption 2 is one of the only games that earns its length. Now, just to clarify, I'm only talking about the main story of the game. When I play a game, I want to finish the main story as quickly as possible to keep the pacing exciting. It's really only Western RPGs like Skyrim and Baldur's Gate 3 where I explore every side quest as thoroughly as possible before finishing the main quest. I still go back and do a fair amount of the side content once I'm finished in other games, but this also gives me a good excuse to replay open world games and see if I enjoy them at a more leisurely pace. I've played Red Dead 2 3 times now, and I can say that the game is much better if you focus on the story, but that's just my personal preference. So what makes Red Dead 2 different from other extremely long games? Why did I not want Red Dead to end, while even my most beloved Persona games outstay their welcome? It's because Red Dead 2's story isn't about the plot, but the characters within that plot. And it's not about telling us their story, it's about showing us their lives. What I mean by that is, through the first 4 chapters, the main goal of the Van der Linde gang is to get enough money to escape America and live out their lives in Tahiti. But so many missions aren't focused on that goal at all. You go shopping with the girls in Valentine, you hunt with Hosea, you take revenge on the O'Driscoll boys. The game doesn't treat the characters like characters in a story with a motivation or goal. It treats them like people with actual lives who do things that don't further them towards their ultimate goal. This is how most people are in real life. For example, how is watching this video helping you get closer to your dream? It's not. Just like Arthur taking Jack fishing doesn't help him make money for Dutch. Yet this is a mandatory mission if you want to finish the game. This is Rockstar forcing you to live as Arthur rather than just play as him. When we play as characters in games, we only experience their most exciting moments, which makes for a better paced game, but it's detrimental to immersion. This is why open worlds are my favourite genre. You're never separated from your character, you get to see their whole journey. However, many of them still only simulate these adventures, and it's only in games like Skyrim that allow our characters to actually live. But where the Dragonborn is a character we create for ourselves, Arthur is a character whose life has been shown to us rather than one we're writing. Because we're living as Arthur and not playing as him, this allows Rockstar to include some missions and moments that others may interpret as boring, but it's these moments that humanize Arthur in my mind. He's not some super soldier or adventurer, he's just a man in a world that doesn't want him and his kind anymore, and it's that groundedness that solidifies him as not a character, but a person we care about. With how much attention to detail was put into the graphics, it only makes sense for that same attention to detail to be inserted into the story and its protagonist. This is why fast travel is limited in the game, because it's essential we spend as much time with Arthur as possible. Other video game protagonists, hell, most protagonists in general, only take actions that involve getting closer to the end of their character arc. Now, this is a good thing, as not every character is interesting enough for me to want to see them just hang out. But Rockstar protagonists are an exception. They're often portrayed with complex motivations, interesting backstories, and a certain distance that makes you want to learn more about them. And Arthur is Rockstar's finest example of this, just barely inching out above Nico. A small but personal problem with this is that I don't feel the need to go out and explore the Red Dead 2 open world, because the main story will already just let me chill with my character in relaxing missions that serve to build up Arthur's character and increase my personal relationship with him. And because the game was so careful to set up Arthur as a person you're never separated from, and took the time to show us every side of his character that could possibly exist, when everything starts to fall apart at the end of the game, it feels far more tragic. It's not the mission and the fabled plan crashing down around us, it's Arthur's family. The characters that our protagonist cares about most in the world are disappearing before his eyes, those with whom we experienced all of our highs and lows. Having all these individual moments with these dozens of characters makes seeing the bond that we all shared be ripped apart that much more gut-wrenching, because of the time we invested into each of these people and their problems. Watching the worst-case scenario play out is as agonizing as it can possibly be. So while Red Dead took me an exhausting amount of time to get through, the setup and payoff of that moseying around in seemingly silly tasks was a massive payoff that served as one of the most devastating finales I've ever seen in a game. If you enjoyed this video, here's one comparing the horses of Red Dead 2 and Ghost of Tsushima, and I'll see you in 2 days.